Hello everyone, myself Alok Kumar. I am assistant professor in Government College of Engineering, Dharmapuri. Okay, so here we will see next topic of third unit, that is static single assignment, or we can say this one as SSA. Okay, so here we can see the static single assignment is used for intermediate code, and here in static single assignment form, each assignment to a variable should be specified with distinct names. Okay, we use subscript to distinguish each definition of variables. Okay, in this what we do here, we allocate registers to the variables, and we allocate register in such a manner such that we can use minimum number of registers. Okay, so some observations are there that we can see when we are assigning registers to the variables. So definition of a variable kills its previous definition. Okay, suppose we have defined one variable, and suppose here we are keeping this variable, the value of this addition we are keeping in this one, so we can use the value here. Okay, after that whatever value we can take same register also for that one. So that we will see here, a variable's use refers to its most recent definitions. Okay, suppose some variable value we have calculated, so recent value only we will take. Okay, so a variable holds a register for a long time if it is live longer. Okay, suppose we are having one example like this manner: p equals to a plus b, and the value of p, this one p minus c, we are going to keep in q variable, and q into d we are going to calculate, and we are going to keep in this p variable. So here we can see like p, this value will be changed here. Now p will be replaced, and this will be the newer value or recent value of p will be this one. Okay, now e minus p, now this p value we will take this value. Okay, and this p will be the new p, updated p, recent p, and this one we will use here. Okay, after that p plus q we will find, and this one will be the updated value of q. Like this, before this one for recent, like here it's mentioned a variable's use refers to its most recent definition. So for this purpose we have changed the name of the variable, like here a plus b, and here this one we have kept here like p1, so that we can distinguish like p is coming more time. So here this one is old p, and this old p we are taking here minus c, and this one is q1 is coming. Okay, this recent q1 we are going to keep here, and into d this one is now new p value. So this one we are saying as p2. Okay, like this one was old, so this e minus, and this one is recent value of p we are going to take, and here we are going to keep in this p3. Okay, now p3 plus q1, this one we are going to keep in q2. Now this one is the recent value or update value of q. Okay, this one we can represent with the help of a register also, like here this one is a b c d e. Suppose here a b c d e p q, these are the variables. So if we are allocating registers to these variables, so here suppose initially we have taken r1 r2, r1 for a1, r2 for b, for r3 for p, r4 for c, r5 for q, r6 for d, r7 for e. So now we can, if we are checking that here how many minimum registers required, so at a time we can see only 3 registers if we are taking, then also we can calculate the value, this one. So here if we are taking a as r1, means r1 register we are taking for a variable, r2 we are taking for b variable, and if we are taking same variable, same register r1 for p, so that we can store this value p. So for that also we are taking this r. Okay, so here this one is r2 we are taking, because r1 minus r2 we are going to take, this one it will come in r1. Okay, so now after that in place of r4, here we are going to take this r2 register for c, here for q r1, and like this manner d we are taking this r2, and for e we are taking this r3. So we can say within 3 register r1 r2 r3 we can assign the variables. So okay, so here minimum number of registers we have to assign to the variable. So at the time, in place of 7 registers, we can assign 3 registers to all the variables of this example. Okay, so now we will see here type equivalence. So since type expressions are possible, we need to talk about their equivalence. Let's first structurally represent them. Suppose here we have taken 3 examples, like here this one is we are representing array, and this one is union structure, and this one is the structure of a node. So here this one is integer a, the one array is there, so we are saying like 2, this one is 2, and of 3 this one is like 2D array is there. So here 2 and 3, and this one is of integer type. Suppose we have represented like this manner. Here this one is union structure, so this x is data type integer and float is y. So here like we are saying, and one structure is there, and here this node is representing here data and the pointer that is pointing to same node, like here we are saying. So in the data is integer type and node, this one is the pointer. Okay, so here we will see means type equivalence. 2 types are structurally equivalent if one of the following condition is true. So here we have to see when 2 structures are equivalent. Okay, 2 different types of structures, when we will say that is equivalent. So one of the following condition should hold, or one should be true. So first, like we can say they are the same basic type. Okay, they should be of same basic type, or here we can say they are formed by applying the same constructor to structurally equivalent types. Okay, or here we can say if one is a type name that denotes the other. Okay, like type def. So here anyone, if one of the following condition is true, then we can say 2 types are structurally equivalent. Okay, suppose we have taken some examples here. You can see like here integer, this array is there 2 3 in is not equivalent to integer b32. Okay, because here this one is 2 rows and 3 columns, here these 3 rows and 2 columns, so both are not structurally equivalent. Here integer a is there is not equivalent to this character array we have mentioned like b, so both are different. Okay, here structure integer char is not equivalent to structure char integer. Okay, this one also different. Okay, both are not equivalent. Here integer point is not equivalent to void pointer. Okay, so this one here we have taken examples that we are differentiating like whether both or 2 types are structurally equivalent or not. Okay, so now here we can see like type checking. Type expressions are checked for we can say for correct code, security aspects, efficient code generation. Okay, and here we will see like compiler determines that type expressions conform to a collection of logical rules called as the type system of the source language. Okay, so in type checking also like type synthesis and type inference also there. Like type synthesis we can say if f has type s is determining t and x has type s, then expression fx has type t. Okay, and a type inference we can say like if function of x is an expression, then for some alpha and beta, f has type alpha is determining b and x has type alpha. Okay, so these 2 types of like here we can say type synthesis and type inference also may be there here. Okay, so now here we will see type conversions. So like suppose we are having one integer a equals to 10 and float we are having b equals to 2 into 10, 2 into a. Okay, so we will say like suppose we are having one integer, and if we are making this one as double like integer long, this one we are float double. So if we are widening, conversion are safe. Like we can say if we are widening like integer to double, like we are doing widening, conversions are safe. Okay, automatically done by compiler called coercion. Okay, so and the second thing is like if we are doing conversion like this manner, integer to char, so this one we will say narrowing conversion may not be safe. Okay, so because here we are what we are doing, this one is integer and this one is character different. So okay, so here we have to do typecasting for this one, usually enforced by the programmers called cast. Okay, or this one we will say typecasting, sometimes deferred until runtime. This one is dynamic cast. Okay, so for this one means here widening, we are saying this one is safe, and narrowing, this one is not a safe, this one is not safe. Okay, so now here we will see like declarations. When declarations are together, a single offset on the stack pointer suffice. Okay, like suppose we are saying integer x, y, z. If we are calling function 1 and function 2, suppose we are having two functions. Otherwise, the translator needs to keep track of the current offset, integer x, function 1, integer y, z, function 2. Okay, like this manner also suppose we are declaring, or if we are declaring like this manner. Okay, a similar concept is applicable for fields in struct. Okay, structure. And here we one more point, like blocks and nestings. So it need to push the current environment and pop. Okay, so here we will see after this declaration, here we can see like expressions. So we already studied like expressions at length here. So already we know this one, to generate how we are going to generate 3 address code. We use our grammar and its associated SDT, syntax directed translation, to generate intermediate representation. Suppose we are having, for instance, a equals to b plus minus c, it would be converted to t1 equals to minus c. So we can write the intermediate representation of like this manner, minus c, this one is unary. Okay, assign this one operator is there, unary operator is there, so minus c. And this one we are, suppose we are storing in t1, and here b plus t1, this value we are going to store in t2 variable. Okay, this t2 we are going to store in a variable. Okay, so now if we are having like expression like this manner, so if we are representing this one in terms of 3 address code like this manner, we can represent. Okay, suppose we are having array. So how, for instance, create intermediate representation for c plus aij. Okay, so this requires us to know the types of a and c. What is the type of a, whether integer or character, whatever, and the type of c also. Say c is an integer, like it is having 4 byte, and a is integer like 2 3. This one is 2D array. Then the intermediate representation we can write like I into 12, because here the integer is, that is 4 byte, and this one is I into 3 into 4, that will be 12. So, and for j we will write, for j this one will be 1 into 4. So we are going to keep in t2 variable, t1 plus t2 we are going to keep in t3. So this will be the we are getting offset from a variable. Okay, this a t3, this one we are keeping in t4. So assuming base offset is present in intermediate representation, and c plus t4 we are going to keep in t5 variable. Okay, so here we can say, suppose we are having 1 dimensional array, or 2 dimensional, or 3 dimensional. So here like that manner we can represent how we will find the size. Okay, so suppose, or if we are finding the at particular location in that address, so a5 is how we will find a plus 5 into size of type. Okay, suppose for this one a ij, for a35 if we are finding is a plus I into 5, I into 5 plus into size of type, plus 5 into size of, plus j into size of type. Okay, this works when arrays are 0 indexed. Okay, suppose we are having 3D array like for a 10 20 30. So how we will calculate the length? So a plus, so it will be 20 into 30 into size of type. Okay, plus j into 30 into size of type, plus k into size of type. So like this manner we can find the length. Okay, so next here we can see, like if we are having array, and if we are optimizing here, suppose how to optimize like this manner computation of an offset for a long expression. Suppose we are having expression like this manner with the declaration as integer like this manner. This one is we are saying 4D array. So here we can say, suppose we are writing like this manner, I into w3 into w2 into w1 plus j into w2 into w1 plus k into w1 in plus l. So we can optimize this computation if using Horner's rule. So how we will do? L plus we will take common here w, and we will find inside this one. Here again we will take w2 common, and like this manner here we have to apply this Horner's rule so that we can optimize the computation. Okay, and here we can see like for in array expression, suppose in C language, C++, Java, and other languages also, we use generally a row measure storage. Like here we can see like first here element will be stored here, after that, like this manner, after row measure. Okay, firstly row, like first row, second, third, fourth, like that manner we stored the element. While in Fortran we use column measure storage format, like each column is stored together, like here first element, second, third, like that, after that like this one. So here we can see like this one is row measure like this manner. So here first, second, third element like this manner it is going to store here, like first element here, after that second element. So this one is column measure, like first column, second column, like that manner we can store. So remaining topic we will see in next lecture. Thank you.